Okay, I'm about 1.5 miles away from home right now, but instead of riding straight home, I'm going to turn off McIntosh, that's the road I'm on now, and go into the Lakes development. I like this development. If I could afford it, I would live here, or I wouldn't mind living here. It's pretty, it's beautiful. I like the green grass, and it's very, very leafy and shady. And the homes are fairly new. I've changed so much since I moved here. I'm really now I'm definitely a suburban kind of guy now in my tastes. Not a big fan of the old city stuff. I like visiting old cities, but I don't like the idea of living there in an old house. And as you know, I did that for 2 decades plus, 3 decades. It's been 6 years now. But yeah, I get a kick out of this neighborhood. The homes are, again, they're too big for me and Linda. But if I could find a small one here, that would be nice. But forget about it, they're too expensive. There are developments that are further south from here. We're kind of on the edge of like real intense suburbia where we live. Now, you go another mile south, which is that way. There's a million gated communities, and believe it or not, they're pretty, and I like them. I like the way they feel, the way they look. I've turned into Mr. Gated Community in my older age now. 9.62 miles per hour is where I'm averaging now. Picked it up a little. I got the wind at my back now. But I'll be turning around here and heading back towards McIntosh. And I'll be going into the wind again. A little bit of wind. It's not huge wind, but it's enough where you know it. Enough where you're glad you have the wind reduction on the camera. Very, very pretty. I'm going to head a little bit more east here, just a little bit. All flat roads around here. Riding on flat roads has its own challenges. One of them is that there's really no excuse to not go fast, except for the reality of being older and out of shape and not being able to sustain a high wattage for a long period of time. But other than that, you always feel like you could be going faster, and it's a little discouraging when I get tired out and I have to slow down. But I've been at a slow pace today. If I wasn't blabbing to the camera, I would probably be averaging around 11 miles per hour. That's about the fastest I go on average. I think there were times maybe 10 years ago where I could average 14 miles an hour on stretches of flat road, but those days may have passed me by. Heading west again into the sun and into the wind. This little development, this little gated community, semi-gated, there's no gates, but there's really no reason to come in here unless you live here, or if you just want to ride your bike through here. It's nice riding through here too. There's no traffic. Trying to think the first time I rode in here. God, it must be about 5 years ago now. Starting to get a history here in Florida. Well, my shirt's dried out, so the cooling sensation isn't as intense as it was earlier in the ride. Maybe I shouldn't talk during these rides. It's amazing how good biking makes me feel. I'm 65 years old right now. And it makes me feel like I'm 20. Feel like a kid again. I like the hot weather. I wasn't sure if I'd like it before I moved down here, but I've gotten used to it. Air conditioning helps a lot. So does swimming. Wow. 2 cars. Look at that guy take off. He's getting his Florida driving on. A lot of really aggressive drivers down here. Coming up to McIntosh, I'll make a left, and then 1.2 miles from here I'll be home again. I just realized I haven't had a sip of water yet.